Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And in today, I'll be trying to explain and understand the second number section of Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche. So, let's start. I'll read it out to you first, and then we'll move ahead. So, let me start. How could something originate in its antithesis, truth in error, for example, or will to truth in will to deception, or the unselfish act in self interest, or the pure, radiant gaze of the sage in covetousness? Such origination is impossible. He who dreams of it is a fool, indeed, worse than a fool. The thing of the highest value must have another origin of their own. They cannot be derivable from this transitory, seductive, deceptive, mean little word. From this confusion of desire and illusion, in the womb of being, rather, in the intransitory, in the hidden God, in the thing in itself, that is where their cause must lie, and nowhere else. This mode of judgment constitutes the typical prejudice by which metaphysicians of all age can be recognized. This mode of evaluation stands in the background of all their logical procedures. It is on account of this, their faith, that they concern themselves with their knowledge, with something that is at last solemnly baptized the truth. The fundamental faith of the metaphysician is the faith in antithetical values. It is not it has not occurred to even the most cautious of them to pause and doubt here on the threshold, where however it was most needfully they should. Even if they had vowed to themselves the omnibus dubitandum. For it may be doubted, firstly, whether there exist any antitheses at all, and secondly, whether these popular evaluations and value antitheses on which the metaphysicians have set their seal are not perhaps merely foreground evaluations, merely provisional perspectives, perhaps, moreover, the perspectives of a hole and corner, perhaps from below, as it were frog perspectives, to borrow an expression employed by painters. With all the value that may adhere to the true, the genuine, the selfless, it could be possible that a higher and more fundamental value for all life might have to be ascribed to appearance, to the will, to deception, to selfishness, and to appetite. It might even be possible that what constitutes the value of those good and honored things resides precisely in their being artfully related, knotted, and crocheted to these wicked, apparently antithetical things, perhaps even in their being essentially identical with them. Perhaps, but who is willing to concern himself with such dangerous perhapses? For that we have to await the arrival of a new species of philosopher, one which possesses tastes and inclinations opposite to and different from those of its predecessors. Philosophers of the dangerous, perhaps, in every sense, and, to speak in all seriousness, I see such new philosophers arising. So, yes. So, yes. What does he mean by all of that? So actually, it's he himself has summarized his main point in one line, which is the fundamental faith of the metaphysicians is the faith in antithetical values. So this is his point basically, that metaphysicians have put their faith in antithetical values. Now we'll have to understand here what he means by antithetical values and why he thinks that metaphysicians have put their faith and saying that metaphysicians are one kind of philosophers and philosophers don't philosophers and philosophy does not work on faith. So hi, I'm back. I know mic stopped working. It's back now. It's live now. And so saying that I was saying that philosophers and philosophy doesn't work on faith. And if you tell a philosopher that uh, at the base, the foundation of your work is faith, it's an insult. You're insulting him. So this is his point that metaphysicians for centuries have put their faith have been the foundation is a sort of faith in what? Antithetical values. So what is antithetical values? Thesis, antithesis, something and its opposite. So it's that simple. Something and its opposite. For example, a good, evil, truth, lie, uh, hell, heaven, and there are more. So philosophers and if you look at the history of philosophy, it is it is quite clear that we think that these are separate and one is better than the other. Truth is different from lie, and something or good or beautiful or eternal, something which is eternal is completely separate from something which is ugly or evil or transitory, all of that. So there's a dichotomy here, there's a duality here, and he's mocking the first few sentences. Nietzsche writes from perspective of those philosophers, and this perspective is that these thing cannot exist with or in or together or from its antithetical counterpart. So, and anybody who thinks so is a fool. Unselfish act is cannot come from a self-interest, or truth cannot come from error. Such origination is impossible. The few terms here: womb of being, intransitory, hidden God, thing in itself. All of them, their cause, their existence is completely separate from their antitheses. So these are basically references to philosophers before him. Womb of being means being and becoming. It's a term you will find in Plato's work, and being is something which is eternal, something which is Plato came up with he is famous for his theory of forms, where there's a world which there's a realm of forms where perfect things exist, and we are lower resolution version of it, 1080 pixels, 480 pixels. So we are 480 pixels uh, resolution images, and there are higher resolution perfect there's a perfect horse, there's a perfect man, there's a perfect everything. And so it's Plato believed that. Plato believed in this dichotomy, and then the hidden God. I think he's talking about Christian philosophers, where God is a separate, perfect thing, which is the ideal, which is incarnation of I don't know, truth, beautiful beauty, justice, all of that. And it's separate. It's separate. It's away. It's not here. It's up. It's beyond. And thing in itself is a reference to he's talking about Kant, noumena and phenomena. Noumena, which is the actual thing, the reality, and noumena, what we see, the illusion, the appearance of the thing in itself. And so this is what he's basically talking about, that these are the things, and one thing is separate from the other. That has been the view, the popular view of Western tradition. And then he says that this faith, this they have faith in this knowledge, and then they have baptized the truth. I think uh, whenever somebody is baptized in Christianity, they accept, they put their faith in Jesus Christ, and then they're baptized. I'm not sure this is how it works, but he's making an analogy here between truth and faith and knowledge and truth. Knowledge is baptized the truth. This knowledge, this, he thinks it's false knowledge. This is uh, not necessarily false, but how, he's just asking, how are you so sure that this is the case, that antithetical values exist, that good is different from evil, that beautiful is different than ugliness, and justice from injustice, hell from heaven, and many more things. He says that, and again, before he tries to explain it, he again hits them once more that you are philosophers, you are supposed to be critical, you are supposed to think. Your job is to think, and you have been thinking and doubting, and they omnibus dubitandum. This is, he's taking a jab at Descartes. He doubted himself into, doubted everything, and then finally he came to a conclusion that I think, therefore I am, after heavy doubting. So he says, you were supposed to doubt everything, you've been doing it, but how could you not doubt this faith, this proposition that you have, which has been the foundation of your work for so many years, and you completely missed it. And how do you know that this dichotomy is real? Couldn't it be possible that you're not looking at the whole picture? In the whole picture, things are way more complicated than they appear. Right now, what you are seeing, looking at, is just a perspective of a lesser. You're just not thinking hard enough. You're not looking hard enough, and these are just provisional perspective. Merely foreground valuations. All that means is that it it is not what it seems. It could be more complicated than that. The dichotomy may just be what it. For example, I'll give an example. He talks about frog perspectives, perspective of a hole and corner. So hole and corner is just imagine a corner of a room, and somebody, something, something of less value, something useless, and you are looking from its perspective, something lesser, something smaller. F- for a frog, take example of a frog. If a frog looks at the world, what does he see? The world is distorted, world is the universe. He cannot see, truly understand how things actually work out. Can he? Too He's just not capable of it. His perspective is not a good perspective. You should not uh, talk to a frog if you are having problem understanding this universe. And then he says that he's basically saying it, and you are looking at things from his perspective. This duality, this dichotomy, it's a frog perspective. And how do you know that things are more complicated? Like I said, how do we know that they're not artfully related, they're not knotted or crocheted together like threads are in clothes that we wear? And how do you know that maybe they're uh, exactly identical? Now, this is something more radical. I mean, there are two readings of it, that antithetical values are interdependent on each other, that in a more poetic way or in a more psychological way, that they live together, that one can't go without the other. And the other reading here is that they are exactly the same, which is a metaphysical claim that Nietzsche is making here. The the his metaphysical claim is completely opposite to the metaphysical claim that he thinks that his predecessors have accepted without much questioning. So now, I mean, it's this if he's making a metaphysical claim here or not, that is, I think it's debatable. People who are Nietzsche scholars and experts, I don't think so. They agree that this is what he meant exactly, that he is making a metaphysical claim here. But in any case, if he is making that claim, what could it mean? What could it mean that good and evil are not separate? Hell and heaven are not separate, and beauty and ugliness are not separate. They are metaphysically identical. Actually, I don't know what it could mean, and it's something that uh, understanding of such claims, I suppose you get in your dreams. I don't think so. This is something that can be articulated, whatever it means. So, in any case, we'll leave that. So, these are the questions that he's asking. Perhaps this, perhaps that, perhaps why not this, why not that? And then at the end, he says, who is going to deal with such dangerous perhapses? And these perhapses are indeed dangerous, because if there is no truth, if there is no see how dangerous a claim that is, that hell is not different from heaven is not different from hell, that goodness and selflessness is not really different from being evil or being selfless. It's ideally what we are told is to pursue one thing, the thing that is above, not below. And if you're saying that there's no above, there is no below, so It's a dangerous, perhaps, no doubt. And he says that, fine. No, he doesn't say fine. He says that we'll need a new species of philosopher to deal with such dangerous perhapses. And in all seriousness, he thinks that these philosophers are arising, first of which is he himself. And he's looking forward to the future to see how philosophy evolves, how philosophy changes. So this was my understanding of this section, and I hope I am not horribly off the track. There could be more. I mean, there could be. It could be read on a deeper level, but I think for now this is fine for me. So I'm going to read it again, and let's see if you understand it better this time. How could something originate in its antithesis, truth in error, for example, or will to truth in will to deception, or the unselfish act in self interest, or the pure radiant gaze of the sage in covetousness? Such origination is impossible. He who dreams of it is a fool, indeed worse than a fool. The thing of the highest value must have another origin of their own. They cannot be derivable from this transitory, seductive, deceptive, mean little word, from this confusion of desire and illusion. In the womb of being, rather in the intransitory, in the hidden God, in the thing in itself, that is where the cause must lie, and nowhere else. This mode of judgment constitutes the typical prejudice by which metaphysicians of all ages can be recognized. This mode of evaluation stands in the background of all their logical procedures. It is on account of this their faith that they concern themselves with their knowledge with something that is at last solemnly baptized the truth. The fundamental faith of the metaphysicians is the faith in antithetical values. It has not occurred to even the most cautious of them to pause and doubt here, on the threshold where, however, it was more needful they should, even if they had vowed to themselves the omnibus dubitandum. For it may be doubted, firstly, whether there exist any antitheses at all, and secondly, whether these popular evaluations and value antitheses on which the metaphysicians have set their seal are not perhaps merely foreground valuations, merely provisional perspectives, perhaps, moreover, the perspectives of a hole and corner, perhaps from below, as it were, frog perspectives, to borrow an expression employed by painters. With all the value that may adhere to the true, the genuine, the selfless, it could be possible that a higher and more fundamental value for all life might have to be ascribed to appearance, to the will, to deception, to selfishness, and to appetite. It might even be possible that what constitutes the value of those good and honored things reside precisely in their being artfully related, knotted, and crocheted to these wicked, apparently antithetical things, perhaps even in their being essentially identical with them. Perhaps, but who is willing to concern himself with such dangerous perhapses? For that we have to await the arrival of a new species of philosopher, one which possesses tastes and inclinations opposite to and different from those of its predecessors, philosophers of the dangerous perhapses in every sense, and to speak in all seriousness, I see such new philosophers arising. Yes, so there's one sentence here I did not talk about, that a higher and more fundamental value for all life might have to be ascribed to appearance, to the will, to deception, to selfishness, and to appetite. So here he is just again it is one more dangerous perhaps, that is asking that, okay, hell and e- even if we assume that hell and heaven is different, how do we know that? How are we so sure that hell is not useful at all, that it's a completely useless place, and that we should not concern ourselves with it at all? Why is it that will to deception, selfishness, appetite, appearance, all of these things, how do we know that these things don't have any value at all? Maybe they're as valuable as the virtues. So yes, that's it. I think I've covered everything now, and I hope your time was not wasted. And thank you and goodbye.